continually unexpected. It just works better with an English accent. It has, you know, it's more proper and sort of robotic. Not that the English people are robotic, but they're robots.
One of the biggest physical differences between Alan and K2 is that K2 is about a foot, 14 inches taller than Alan. So you want the eye line to be in the right place. So most of the time, Alan is wearing these really wonderfully made stilts. And that puts his knees at the right place, puts his shoulder at the right place, puts his head in the right place.
And it always worked better and it transferred better if there was more of a personality in his movement. K2 walks down a hallway and is passed by another K2 model that's in the Empire and hasn't been freed by a reprogram like K2 was. He's like a soldier and he's walking very perfectly and very straight and upright. And then K2 is kind of sort of loping along a little bit. I think that's what makes K2 a little bit more accessible and, gosh, I'm gonna say it, lovable.
There are times when what Alan needs to do are just a little too awkward or dangerous to do with the stilts. So in order to have his eye line at the right place, there's a backpack that's been rigged with a couple little poles and a cutout photo of K2's head.
If there's ever a time where I have to put that thing on, oh God, no. Here it comes. It's so awful. And then this telescoping head that comes out of the top, and it's just true, it's just a piece of poster board with a really rudimentary K2 face. This has come from ILM. Diego said, Alan, it's amazing how little respect you have on this set right now.
Because there's no way to respect this, you know? It's like if we were just witnessing the first science fiction film done
in elementary school.
Exactly.
Where Alan ends and K2 begins is sometimes a blur for me because Alan's a really funny guy and he gets high score on set for cracking jokes.
My God, he kept us laughing and enjoying the process.
Alan would always be throwing in completely random lines that would always make us laugh.
Oh, sorry, that was the fuel.
I was asked to go scout out in this big town square, and then as the stormtroopers go by, Clive, nice to see you. Darren, hello, hello. Gail, looking good. You've lost a little.
I remember there's one particular occasion, I knew a funny line was coming, and to the point where I was crying, and I'd have to actually bit my lip to keep the camera still because I was giggling, and I knew I couldn't use the shot if the camera moved like that. And genuinely, there's 2 takes we can't use because it's rocking because I'm laughing so much. It was very inappropriate sometimes, but that's kind of K2 as well. So
don't do this to me, Cassian.
Levity is good in a movie like this, which is very heroic and very serious. The world of Star Wars has a lot of it's a very serious world. Although, you know, in the first 3 that I was introduced to the Star Wars world with, there was humor in it, definitely from Han Solo.
You have to shoot this. Traveling through hyperspace is like Dustin Croft's kid. Without precise calculations, we fly too close to a store. They're bounce into a supermarket and then...
C-3PO and R2-D2, the way that they played against one another. I'm glad to be one of those elements in this. Clear of hostiles. One hostile.
He's with us.
Be all right.
Even when we talked about putting Chirrut and Baze into Rogue, we were very cognizant of looking at what those characters certainly represented in the team, but giving them a character arc and a meaning to the story. And we're incredibly fortunate to have Donnie Yen and Jen Wen.
Good luck, little sister.
And these characters become an important part of this team.
Zhang and Donnie, they're superstars in China, massive superstars.
Hey! What's run?
Those guys were the clear choices, and I think it really helped that both of them have children who love Star Wars.
I remember watching the very first one back in 1977. It swept me off my feet. It was amazing. I didn't expect many years later I would be invited to be part of this world. Not to mention that when I told my children, they were more excited than I am. And I asked them, do you want Baba to be away from home for 5 months to do this movie? Right? And when, they said, do it, you're finally cool.
The first time they gave me a script that's in English, of course, it's hard for me to reading that, but my son can read that. And after my biggest son read and said, go, Dad, you have to go. You have to go for us. I asked them why. And my two sons said, this is hero.
We've come too far.
Patience, my friend.
The friendship between Baze and Chirrut, I don't think anybody could have anticipated just how much they bring to this film.
An imperial pilot.
Pilot?
No, let me kill him. No, let me kill him. Back off. Back off.
With all the Chinese audience, he's known as a very powerful, dramatic actor. I worked with him several years ago, so I felt that would be a great chemistry between he and I.
Go.
Yes, I told you. Have faith. The coolest thing about our interaction, you feel that sense of humor between the lines. You almost shot me.
You're welcome. Silence.
He has at least two sides, maybe. That is very interesting.
Baze Malbus is a very violent, emotionally charged character, and that Chirrut Imwe holds out this kind of hope that Baze Malbus will redeem himself.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force, and I fear nothing.
When I read about George Lucas making the original Star Wars, originally the Force was called the Force of Others, and that meant a lot to me when I read it. The idea that you gain this kind of spiritual energy from your connection to other people.
There is more than one sort of prison. I sense that you carry yours wherever you go.
In really dark times, it's often faith that sustains people. So if we're going to take the Force out of this movie, there would have to be this question of whether anyone is ever going to believe in it again and whether it mattered at all. We understood that for people who don't have physical evidence of magic or their religion in the universe, you find it in other people and in what you're willing to do for them and what they're willing to do for you.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna follow Jin.
Good luck.
I don't need luck. I have you. It wasn't particularly written as a blind warrior. It was a warrior monk, but I suggested to Gareth, I said, can you make him a blind swordsman?
I would say that the thing about Rogue One is it has a tremendous amount of soul. I mean, you really feel that when you watch Baze and Chirrut and just the natural energy of Donnie and Jean Wen.
Hey, stop right there. He's blind. Is he deaf?
Ready? And
Donnie's martial art has a sense of artistry and performance that tells you so much about this character.
Is your foot all right?
There's an elegance. There is a heroicism, a nobility to the way that that man moves and the way that he knocks out stormtroopers.
Thrilled to be part of this family. Although we have different languages, different culture, at the end of the day, storytelling is about people, and we all share the same emotions. To me, that's like Star Wars.
Hero, come with me. Hero. Force is with me. I'm one with the Force.
It was important to us to really show that this, especially given the events of episode 4, you know, the kind of moment before the clarity that we see in terms of the really clear divisions between the good guys and the bad guys. There's a kind of gray area that Rogue One is trying to sort of capture.
I guess it's like a lot of conflicts that happen, modern day conflicts, where the lines are drawn. They're not just like good and bad. There's a lot of different versions of good and bad.
We have Bodhi, who's a cargo pilot, used to be in the Empire, Imperial forces, and he's defected.
He doesn't fit the traditional bill of a Star Wars hero, but he starts the action by doing one of the most heroic things possible, which is making a hard choice. And I think that makes Bodhi really charming and really admirable.
He said I can make it right if I was brave enough to listen to what was in my heart.
I think when you see people wrestle with the question of what they're going to do, and when you see them embrace their own sort of latent heroism, those things feel true to Star Wars.
That's an impounded Imperial ship. What's your call sign, pilot?
It's, Rogue One.
I loved Riz Ahmed in Nightcrawler, and as we were looking for a character for Bodhi Rook, I made sure to throw his name in the hat. He did a few auditions for us. He kept cranking out different versions of Bodhi.
The security checkpoint is still manned. You said the alarm would clear them out. Well, it should have. They shouldn't. If you had... can you just bluff your way through?
Riz filmed himself. He was in New York. Like, he did a little thing of, like, this is how Bodhi could be.
Ha! What did I tell you? And then obviously I started kind of, the obsession starts where you start sending, like doing 50,000 takes of something because you left to your own devices. Can you not just bluff your way through? What? You cannot be serious. Well, yeah, I mean, you're a spy. Do your spy thing.
And then he was like, great, we've got what we need. Well, I didn't stop there. I just carried on recording more takes and just emailing him. I was like, screw it, I've got his email address now.
You're a spy. Do your spy thing.
He could be like this, or he could be like this, or he could be like this. And it was like, okay, anyway, you've got the part, and then got another like 8 clips saying all this, all this, all this, all this, all this.
Okay, what did I tell you? What did I tell you?
I was like, okay, I've kind of totally screwed this up now. I'm like spamming the director.
What I love about Riz is he embraced everything in that, like, he's got his funny moments throughout.
What part of urgent message do you guys not understand?
But you also, I think, really feel for him at the end. It really throws you because you think they're not going to kill this guy. You can't. He's like, he's the guy who makes it out. If anyone's going to make it out in these films, it's always that guy in the lead. And then when that happens, you just go, I don't know how this is going to end now.
I think people know going into this that they're going to get something slightly different. And I think that just adds to that kind of vibe.
3, 2, 1, action!
But something that was quite weird is that my very first week of filming was my entire character's end sequence. So I think on day 2 or 3, I was filming my death scene, which is unnerving as an actor. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, I hadn't done a lot of action before. It was a real learning experience for me, and it was also just so cool. I mean, it's just like being a kid again and playing barricades, you know, playing cops and robbers. And it really is.
He's really an interesting actor, you know. He seems to have a freshness and a newness to him, you know, that's really alive. He's got like an effervescence about him and unpredictability, sort of slightly urban quality.
I have to speak to Saw Gerrera. I have to speak to him before...
I liked working with him, but we didn't have like a lot of other conversations outside because I guess I was kind of pretty much in character most of the time.
Saw Gerrera was a character that was in Clone Wars.
Saw is a long-standing Star Wars character who's inhabited the periphery of Star Wars storytelling for a while. He was an idea that came from George.
Because we came into Lucasfilm and found that George had already left some ideas behind, and we thought, well, God, what else could we do? It was Curie's idea, actually, that it be Saw Gerrera, and that would further legitimize the story inside the stories that had already been told.
Saw Gerrera came to the rebellion early. He was an activist. He's frustrated. The Republic is in disarray and chaos. The Rebel Alliance hasn't really come together in the way that he thought it would.
We see him as a broken person, and you realize this is what a lifetime of fighting the Empire could turn you into.
There's not much of me left.
He's trained in many different types of warfare, guerrilla warfare, as well as practices of the Jedi with Obi-Wan, with Anakin Skywalker. And so he started to branch off, to start to fight in different ways. He becomes ostracized from the other Rebel Alliance. They see him as someone who's too extreme. It was interesting for me to try to explore this character, to understand how you can have good reasons for what you're doing, but how that can be twisted and turned when you lose sight of your humanity.
What's always important in Star Wars is that struggle that exists with so many characters between the dark and the light. And that moral ambiguity is something that I think Forrest was attracted to.
My character, in a way, represents that sort of gray area. And I think they try to play around with it even in my suit and everything like that. Because in my suit, you have a breathing apparatus, and when I breathe into it, it sounds quite like Darth Vader. And so, since I was trained by Darth Vader, or Anakin Skywalker, and then I'm breathing this apparatus, you have to think about what is the movement of where I'm going, And am I stepping into the line of darkness?
I always wanted him to play Saw Gerrera, to the point where I met with him in Los Angeles, and we were showing some artwork, and there was some artwork in there from 6 months earlier, and it was him. Yeah, normally you'd have to fake that, but I was like, yeah, this proves it, that we've always been wanting Forrest, because there you are, look.
I started my work on the character by going back and looking at the Clone Wars and seeing the character. I talked to Gareth. He had references of modern-day guerrilla fighters. And I had made a pretty bold choice about the character, the way he speaks, the way he moves.
Are we not still friends?
The sort of very extreme voice and extreme behaviors, And I was doing that with Felicity, trying to connect,
Not a day goes by that I don't think of you.
It's an important scene. They didn't leave on the best terms, but there's a huge affection and there's a huge fondness that they have for each other, but there's a bit of business, there's a bit of housekeeping that they have to sort out.
You care not about the cause.
The cause? All it's ever brought me is pain. Forrest, he brings such humanity to everything he does, and it was very, very special working with him. I really, really enjoyed it.
You must save yourself! Save the rebellion! Save the dream!
I think that Jen's character does represent finding your own sense of purpose in life and following it through. I hope that people believe in the empowerment of themselves. I think people will recognize through the diversity of the casting of the film, with people from all colors and cultures, they come together with one common goal to help humanity. Amazing things can happen through this inclusion and connection.